Hi guys, I am Vitold, and if you are curious about the newest Suzuki V-Strom 1050 XT a la DR BIG Resurrected and are considering getting yourself this bike, I will help you make a decision and guide you through what's the best about this bike. I've been a V-Strom 1000 owner for some time, but a lot has changed. Now, Suzuki first made the big V-Strom look like a scared duck, and now more like a macho chicken. If you are fine with that, or rather are not bothered with that, let's dig into all the top reasons why you might want to get yourself this V-Strom and why it would make a lot of sense. It is a good and solid motorcycle that feels like it had everything except for its design improved over the years. First of all, the first reason for willing to buy a V-Strom would be that it's a mature motorcycle that is now complete, which means that it doesn't do anything badly. It is a complete package, in other words. And it's not that obvious. And if you are looking for a capable machine that can do pretty much everything and do it fine, you may be at the right spot. By mature, I also meant one very important to me feature, which is that it doesn't feel inferior to any other motorcycle, including more powerful bikes from premium manufacturers. In the beginning, the big V-Strom could be successfully competing with the top bikes in the class and win in many areas like comfort or performance. It stayed on its level, while now Ducati, KTM and BMW have jumped forward a lot. But I've got to tell you that dealing with the current V-Strom, it still feels like it's mighty, powerful, confident and relevant. It won't turn around and run away seeing a GS. The second reason for buying a V-Strom could be the performance of its punchy V2 engine. It is a 1037 cubic centimeters engine with 2 cylinders, with 107 horsepower and 100 newton meters of torque, and despite this being not so much on paper, it feels much stronger than, for example, now closely matched to it BMW F850 GS with 95 horsepower and 92 newton meters of torque. That's pretty close. Numbers are close, but the feeling, and I believe the actual performance that the V-Strom 1050 is providing, those things are much more noticeable. It's really a pleasure to ride it in terms of engine. There is, as many like to say, enough power, and I can fully back that statement up. I would enjoy more, but I wouldn't be unhappy every day with its performance, even knowing that a big GS, Ducati Multistrada, Harley Davidson Pan America, that those are quicker. This could be a sweet spot for many riders, just as it has been from the beginning. It somehow encourages you to push it, to make it rev high and do it again over and over. You don't feel like it's struggling no matter what, and I really like it. So yet again, I consider it complete in this department. And now my favorite, third point that managed to win my heart for the V-Strom. It is the sound of its engine, and it's special, as it's not only the deep exhaust sound, which on its own is present in many big V2 engines, but it's very special mechanical noise, this whirling noise coming straight from the engine. That resembles the sound of a supercharger swirling in a huge V8 with a huge displacement. It is truly amazing, but if you add an aftermarket exhaust to it, you've got yourself likely the best sounding motorcycle ever. It's called a V-Strom, but with a custom exhaust, it could actually be a V-Storm. Keep it in your garage and just listen to its sound once in a while. No need to ride it, just listen to it. The fourth reason to buy a V-Strom now is, or could be, that it's a pretty stable bike at high speeds. It is not very good at low speeds, or even quite bad, as it's losing its stability comparing to others, and you've got to struggle with it to keep it pointed where you want it. But at higher speeds, it's like a thrown rock. For touring, very appreciated. I assume that many of you who would consider a V-Strom 1050 would use it outside of the city, not inside of the city. The fifth point is that the V-Strom 1050 along with the 1050 XT present likely a good value for their price. They are not overpriced comparing to some other motorcycles in the adventure category, including the smaller, the 800 and 900 class motorcycles, and also the category of the more powerful, around 1200cc motorcycles. Prices and currencies are changing like hell, so it's pointless to throw numbers. But what's important is that this V-Strom is basically priced just like BMW F850 GS. I am very much convinced that in terms of the feeling of maturity and being a complete motorcycle, it is a level up. At the same time, it's like 25% cheaper than the base R1250 GS. If we look at bikes spec'd how we would want them, we may even get a V-Strom 1050 XT for 30-something% less than a decent R1250 GS. And that translates into a lot of money that you could spend on a lot of vacation time with your family, a dirt bike, some of the biggest OLED TV, or just freaking party. I'm just saying, it may be worth it. And at the same time, in the sixth point, which I've got to tell you about very carefully this time, but it's about the equipment possibilities. The newest V-Strom 1050 or 1050 XT doesn't lack anything, let's put it this way, very significant. So I wouldn't expect there to be any deal breakers comparing to other motorcycles. Maybe, that's a maybe with an exception of the lack of a keyless start, which I am a fan of. So you've got to insert and use the key in order to start or to fuel up the bike every time, while others can utilize this wireless technology. They can just keep the key somewhere on their person in the pocket, not touch it ever, and just handle the bike at 100%. But other than that, you may get a basic LED front light to see well after dark. There is ABS, there is traction control, which doesn't work very well. You've got a proper onboard computer, you've got a gear indicator, you've got heated grips, you may adjust the sensitivity of certain riding settings. Yes, there is no electronic suspension, but that's not big of a loss. There's also an adjustable windscreen and a seat. Both systems aren't good, but after some struggle, you will be able to change the height of both. You may also be getting cruise control, hill start assistant that will hold the bike for you so that the bike doesn't roll when you're, for example, standing up the hill. So all in all, it's not like it used to be that a non-premium bike could not have at least most of the stuff found in the most expensive premium brand motorcycles. Some things aren't there, some things are done worse, and yes, they are, but you've got what you will really need, and I consider it a plus. Now, the seventh point, the V-Strom carries a pretty legendary name inherited from a trustworthy, reliable motorcycle that used to be a bestseller along with its 650 cubic centimeter version. And that was because they were simply good and fairly affordable. This gave the V-Strom a good name and a good image till today. It may not be sounding as cool as GS in terms of a name or as bad as its Africa Twin, but you've got to give it respect. And I believe that since so many of us connect to motorcycles with so much emotion, those things matter. And I could understand why they would not matter in cars, but in bikes it's different. It is supposed to be fun, it is supposed to be nice, and that's in the first place. And usefulness, that's in a second place. Otherwise, we would all be riding mopeds to avoid traffic jams. I would be actually interested to see other perspective and how many of you actually like the way this bike looks. Number 7 is a respected model name. Eighth reason is a new thing for a V-Strom, and it is that it feels very well made. Actually, surprisingly solid and stiff. Stiff in terms of nothing bending and nothing feeling loose or nothing being not attached properly, like it sometimes is with motorcycles. I haven't found anything that would be bothering me, and I have been finding such things in all other brands, including BMW's stupid side scroll wheel, Ducati's condom on the keyless ignition. Here the only kind of complaint would be actually not that directly connected to the quality area, and it would be windshield adjustment. It works so hard that after some time I would be afraid that I would break it. Oh. Okay, that wasn't me. Overall, Suzuki did a good job in my opinion, and this contributes to the bike being even more encouraging to ride. You wouldn't want to ride something that rattles and feels like it wants to fall apart. And the first V-Strom could sometimes be like that with its vibration at certain RPM, its loud front suspension, and this thin handlebar that you could think that you could bend. This one is fine everywhere here. The 9th point is only for the most hardcore of you guys. Unfortunately, it doesn't mean that I'm going to say that the bike is great off-road, because it's not. Not with around 16 centimeters of ground clearance, not that wide handlebar and front suspension that cannot even handle braking. But if you are 70 years old and got stuck in the 80s, loving Suzuki's old DR Big model, the V-Strom is a perfect bike for you, looking just like that 30-something-year-old motorcycle. It is sort of a joke right now at this point, but in fact, if you liked or owned DR Big and have a lot of sentiment towards it, it may be the reason to buy a DR Big now. Sorry, V-Strom. And the last 10th point, please don't get upset, it's a serious matter since we're all in different stages of our life, but let me say this, if you are a married man, you are safe with this generation of a V-Strom. Your wife can stay calm, and you might bring this argument up if she resists and doesn't really let you buy the motorcycle. Thanks to the V-Strom, she may easily change her mind, as looking the way it looks, you likely will not find yourself in a lot of female company. To finish off on a more serious note, if you can overlook the design or you like it, if you are not a super tech guy and also don't need to have everything absolutely top, perfect, fantastic and with full equipment, I think I could recommend this V-Strom 1050 to you. Get it in some cool color to not even try to hide its ugliness, but rather bravely expose it, give it a proper aftermarket exhaust, and you may enjoy it riding outside of the city mostly. Thank you for staying and see you in the next video. Bye.